I don't believe that men and women are fundamentally interchangeable. That's the same reason why I don't believe that men should be able to beat up on women in mixed martial arts competitions or be able to smash world records in powerlifting, for the same reason that I don't believe men who are juiced out of their mind should be competing against other guys who decide to play by the rules. Exactly. Go start your own transy organization. No one's persecuting you. We just don't want you beating up women. Why? Namely the cock and balls. Question of the day. Genuinely, if you were a parent and you saw your daughters having their opportunities taken away, or just having the crap beaten out of them, having to compete against trans athletes, how would you react? Really, let's get rid of just the progressive agenda or where you line up politically. How would you react if you were a parent? Sincere answer. I want to hear from you. This is what we call a segue. Vice just did a video on how evil the USA Powerlifting Association is because they discriminate against trans lifters.
At a powerlifting meet in April, athletes of all shapes and sizes showed up to lift heavy.
They were all relatively congruent shape,
lifts.
except one.
The bench press, the squat, and the deadlift.
Is not 225
pounds, y'all.
But one powerlifter was forced to sit on the sidelines.
What?
Her name is JC, and she's trans.
Forced
JC
to sit on the
has competed in
sidelines.
sports her whole life, and at a young age, even had Olympic ambitions in curling.
No.
Male to female transgender.
So as a man, he's an ice bowler, and then he's shattering women's strength records.
Direct competitive advantage.
What was your reaction?
Disappointment, and also not being surprised entirely because of the way that trans women and trans feminine people are treated in sports.
We're gonna get to some science here, but I don't even know what trans feminine is. I'm pretty sure if I were to say it, it's hate speech.
That's totally new.
We're supposed to say MTF transgender. Not allowed to compete is what it is. They're forced to sit on the sidelines. What do you mean? This person who was a man not allowed to? Well, why wasn't this person allowed to compete? Name of the cock and balls. That's why.
That tends to do it, right?
The idea that the USAPL, that they've been banning trans lifters, it's not right in the first place. Couple of reasons. They already discriminate, based on age range, allowable medications, some aren't approved, and their doping policy, which, yes, includes testosterone.
Ding, ding, ding.
You can't take it if you want to compete with this organization. There are tons of other rules, by the way, we need to be clear about, down to what kind of t-shirts or hats you can wear, whether you can wear a hat at all during competition. That's how sports work.
Yeah,
they have rules.
Yes, exactly. Their whole point is to ensure a fair competition. They're not looking at somebody who has long hair and looks like a man and says that they're a woman and says, I just don't like that.
And even though they're not talking to Vice, there were probably a lot of people who were complaining that it wasn't a fair competition. Well, why is that? Name of the cock and balls. Next clip.
Do you think it's fair for you to compete in the women's category?
Absolutely.
Why?
Why not?
Fucking balls, dick, and scrote. That would be the primary reason. I hope I've crystallized them for you, but it's more so what comes along.
Oh, that's awesome.
With the wang and meatballs. That's really what we'll get to that in a second, why there's a difference, and it doesn't change just because you stick a needle with estrogen in your ass once every other. No, let's go to the next clip. I'm getting too mad already. Go.
When trans people meet all the rules, they'll just establish more rules to govern our bodies and our participation in society and in sport.
Yes, they are a governing body. That's what sports organizations, athletic commissions, drug testing agencies are.
Funny.
They're just going to find another way to govern your body. No, they are a governing body. What is this? Is this your honor? Gonna judge me now? You're gonna judge me now? Guilty.
Right? You're trying to use that same argument. It's my body.
Thank you for the ringing endorsement. Next clip.
Katrina Karkazis is a bioethicist who works on testosterone and sex testing regulations
This is where they make
in
the
sports.
case now.
Do trans
books on
women
the shelf.
have an advantage over cis women in sports of strength like powerlifting?
People want to make these broad generalizations. Trans women have an advantage, but it's always going to be much more complicated than that.
Not really. Doctor. And by the way, I use that term loosely because this bioethicist, which you're like, well, hold on, what is that?
What is
Katrina, what's her name? Katrina something. I just forgot the name.
Karkazis.
Doesn't have a degree in biology or even an MD. PhD in anthropology. Take a quick glance at this person's Twitter feed. They
so
are
it's
constantly,
made up.
they're talking, they pushing the Kaepernick take a knee.
Oh, jeez.
I'm saying this
my
doctor's not a
goodness.
transy. This woman yells at Trump
Nice.
when he comes on the TV, accuses anyone who disputes this idea of transgenders in sports of being a part of the patriarchy. This is someone with a vested interest in a social agenda. By the way, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed because it doesn't mean a whole lot, or just bookmark the page. We have videos every day. Join up at mugclub.com/mugclub. Of course, subscribe on iTunes. Also, this is important to note, this is not a scientific, and we'll get to this in a second, and we can rattle off the science within 1 minute. But if you look at even the International Olympic Committee, I think it's what the IOC, they talked about how their trans policy is based on social political change, not on science. They don't even require you to go through a sex change operation now to compete in the Olympics.
Oh my gosh.
You just have to have been taking female hormones for 1 year.
A year?
Yeah, think of how dangerous that is in Greco-Roman. All right, next clip.
Testosterone. Does it influence sports performance?
It does. So it is related to things like lean body mass.
Okay.
But it's not necessary or sufficient to push an athlete to be at the top level. Really? So you can't assume that the people with the highest levels of testosterone do better.
I love how Vice summarizes.
What Katrina's saying is that there's no clear link between testosterone and sports performance.
What? What? She's as far left as they come from bioethicists, and she still said there is a clear link, but it just doesn't guarantee, for example, that like weak male fat ice bowlers will be the best female trans lifter in the history of mankind. Like,
so basically what she's saying though was
so what you're really saying is there's no clear link. You know how I know it's untrue? They already drug test for testosterone!
It's not
Whether
important.
you have the dick and balls or not. They're testing you. Let's go through some, just rattle off some of the advantages that come to mind. Height, bone density, fast twitch muscle fibers, and surprisingly, I learned this when doing research for this lung capacity. So let's go to the first one. Advantage number one, height. Goes without saying, men are taller than women, longer. It doesn't go away when you inject hormones. Height is a huge advantage in sports like basketball or combat sports.
Absolutely.
Bone density. Men have greater bone density than women. Obviously, for high-impact sports, it's better for them to have greater bone density. Hormones may have some effect, but not really. Of course, fast twitch muscle fibers. Men have more fast twitch muscle fibers than women. I think that the advantages here in sports would be self-explanatory.
No, not at all.
And that's why even if you look at the most
link.
roided out female powerlifters, they still struggle to lift as much as a natural male. And the lung capacity surprised me. When men actually have greater lung capacity.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, but it stands to reason. And before, by the way, you say that this is why we actually need to transition kids at a lower age so they don't have all these benefits. Hold on. F you for that. That's child abuse. Okay? And by the way, sorry, you have the beat button today. None of these advantages are wiped out by hormone replacement therapy. The only one you could argue is bone density, that you'll lose some bone density if you've been undergoing hormone replacement therapy for a very long time. But even then, for people doing high-impact sports and weight resistance training their whole lives, you wouldn't lose that much bone density to completely wipe out the advantages. All right, quick comparison, by the way, how might this apply. Woman squat record, let's run this video. 700 pounds. Just bring it up there, Garrett. We can bring it up as kind of B-roll. So there you go. That's a women's world record. That's very impressive, obviously.
It's very nice. It's fantastic.
And then the man's is 1,080. So a little bit more of a difference. And by the way, if you remove the drug test, because the USAPL drug tests, and you go to federations that don't, and they also allow you to use the squat suit and the bench shirt. People who don't follow powerlifting, you can't touch the bar to your chest with a bench shirt unless you have 300 pounds. Like, it's that much tension. So, okay, give me a forklift. Let's see how much I can bench. Now, I know the world record bench, it's not even going to be close. But it goes to 1,200. Here's a clip so you can.
Did he get his depth there? Okay, yeah. I feel like he's going to have back problems later.
Blood spurt out of his nose, right after that.
Oh my goodness.
So I'd say there's a slight correlation between testosterone and strength. It would seem, because you see the men lift that much more, and then you see when the men get on more testosterone, they lift that much more. The gap goes 300-something to 500-something pounds. Now, here's why. Let's kind of look at some of the numbers here, and I'm going to get a little scientific, a little nerdy for you. The mid-range male testosterone level for 25 to 30 years old is about 670 nanograms per deciliter. Okay, so here's something that's been conducted where men who were on steroids, 600 milligrams of testosterone every week, resulted in test levels of 2,300.
Oh, wow.
So that's a lot more. Now, that being said, you can have some men who have testosterone levels without any steroids of it being about 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. Okay? That means that a doping male athlete, that guy right there who's setting the world record compared to the other guy who is not on juice, allegedly, right? They drug test. 3.5 times more testosterone.
Yeah, which, by the way,
natural athlete.
Is enough to have people banned from sports for life, potentially.
Right.
Certainly kicked out of competitions and records taken away, right? 3.5 times.
Like Jose Canseco, a forehead that raised the ceiling. Mid-range female testosterone levels, I want to make sure I get this right. About 42.5 nanograms per deciliter. So that means the average male, trans feminine, the average male they would say, let's not go with the transgender MTF. The average male would have roughly 7 to 23 times the testosterone of a normal woman. So that guy, if you're going to get mad at that guy for juicing and setting a world record that we have in a different category because they don't drug test, we don't even know who's on steroids or who's not. We just assume that they are. If you're going to be mad about that guy competing with other men in Olympic weightlifting events or any kind of Olympic event or any kind of athletic endeavor, don't tell, when it's only a 2.5 times, 2.5 multiple hormonal advantage to another man, don't get all high and mighty and tell us that there's no difference when someone has 7 to 23 times the hormonal advantage. It's not even close. Next clip, Vice.
But what about JC? How good is she? We asked her coach.
Damn.
Okay, don't get mad.
Look at that. She even puts her hand out. We're girlfriends.
Totally okay.
Oops, accidentally touched your dad.
So JC is a great athlete, and she's a strong, skilled lifter. In her weight class, she's not yet a standout lifter.
You mean because she's a fat, weak man? Is that what you mean? Is that why? Notice we don't get any numbers. What's your total there? What's it, Janine? What's her name?
JC?
I don't know.
Something.
The question is not whether this lifter is particularly mediocre and or unattractive, okay? Mediocre male athletes consistently transition to women and they end up getting first place in competition, even becoming world champions. Right here, Rachel McKinnon, World Cycling Championship. Laurel Hubbard won New Zealand gold medal, national championships. Mary Gregory smashed 4 powerlifting world records in a day. In one day.
Nice.
So just because you are not all male athletes, not all men with testosterone, they're not all going to beat every single woman. No. We get it. Some are fat and weak and we're curlers beforehand. That being said, it doesn't change the general rule. All right, another clip here.
And so what I will be doing is time out my meet by standing there for the full 1 minute for each of my 3 attempts.
No.
Okay. This is in solidarity. Maybe in powerlifting, some angry lesbians can take a timeout and protest, and you think it's cute. All right, I understand. But this isn't the only sport where this is happening. For example, I'm sure that these actual women getting concussed would have loved to have taken a timeout. Your intolerance is showing. That is a brave, strong, beautiful woman causing repeated concussive syndrome to other women.
This is laughable.
Is Will Smith going to line up for casting in that one? All right, let's go to the next clip.
We deserve a place in sports too. The bottom line is that even in the fundamental principles of Olympism, they recognize that sport is a human right.
Olympism?
Do trans people get human rights? And the answer is yes.
No. So, and I'm not saying that trans people don't get human rights. You know, I support the First Amendment and Second Amendment. Of course, these are actual human rights, not the ability to compete in any sport. By the way, when someone comes out and says healthcare is a human right, it's like, yeah, but you said transies competing in female powerlifting was a right. So I'm not really listening to the whole human right train anymore. I'm not exactly on board. Playing a sport, of course you have the right. Competing in a sport while flagrantly disregarding the established rule set is not a human right. This is the issue at large. Why does this matter? There's a greater issue at play here. Okay? They're trying to pass a law making it necessary for all sporting organizations to accept transgender athletes regardless of sex. The bill, the Equality Act, it specifically outlines that you are legally liable unless you get on board wholesale with the modern gender theory, which is not based in science. Even according to the International Olympic Committee, they said it was largely politically motivated.
It's all feelings.
Remember how they said, give you an example, same-sex marriage wouldn't affect you, wouldn't affect the church. And by the way, this is not about your opinion on same-sex marriage, about the ramifications that we've seen since the rulings for churches, pastors, even private businesses who've been targeted and they were told that they wouldn't be targeted before. And then afterwards they're being sued and shut down because you've declared something a fundamental human right. So right now, what are we looking at? I don't believe that marriage is a fundamental human right. I don't believe the government should be recognizing marriage because I believe that it's a privilege, it's a contract two people enter into. And right now, when you're talking about sports, unless we get on board with this new policy, which, by the way, not only could cause irreparable harm to the fabric of society, obviously very real physical harm to women in the sports, it's really one of those scenarios where it shows you how tone deaf Vice is.
Yeah.
That they come out and go, what they're clearly saying is there's
ratio.
no correlation
Oh my
between
gosh.
testosterone and performance. And even the most progressive podcast hosting beta males are going, well, come on. Really? You're expecting us to get on board with this entirely? This is also another example of saying that men and women are fundamentally interchangeable. Listen,
Right.
there's a reason that we have men and women in different sporting divisions. For this is for the same reason that we recognized a man and a woman as ideal in a marriage. Doesn't matter what your opinion is, but these were fundamentally, they would fundamentally outline roles in society because we believe that a mother and a father were very important to rearing children. When you say that two daddies can do everything that a mother and a father can do, you're saying, well, there's really nothing intrinsically valuable or unique to women. I don't believe that. I don't believe that men and women are fundamentally interchangeable. That's the same reason why I don't believe that men should be able to beat up on women in mixed martial arts competitions or be able to smash world records in powerlifting for the same reason that I don't believe men who are juiced out of their mind should be competing against other guys who decide to play by the rules.
Exactly.
Go start your own transy organization. No one's persecuting you. We just don't want you beating up women. Why? Namely the cock and balls. Hey there, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel or hit the notification bell. Do it. I'll wait a second. Do you hear that little ding? It actually didn't make a ding sound. I just did it. It happened while my mouth was doing it, and you thought it was coming from your computer. So that's fun. Also, there's some videos playing in these boxes next to me. Go watch those. You might enjoy them. You might not. I don't care.